Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So, we are the group 2, and we are going to discuss all about chapter 9, the visual elements in the Philippine traditional motifs and crafts. So, without further ado, let us start. When you see an art piece having a jeepney or a kalesa, you would probably say that this art comes from the Philippines or it represents the Philippines. Or when you see an art piece having a savanna with a beautiful sunset, giraffes, elephants, and other animals, you would probably say that this is Africa or this art represents Africa. So all of these motifs, symbols, designs, patterns, and colors that constitutes to a certain piece of art and gives us a sense of preset as to where this art belongs or what the art conveys are called the visual elements. So if we recall to the past chapters, um, all the elements of art, the principles of design, go hand in hand in order to convey a certain message. So for example, a horizontal line portrays calmness, serenity, and peace, while repetitive patterns gives us a sense of movement. So all of these elements and principles enables us to describe what is done by the artist in the artwork, what happens in a particular art piece, and as well communicate our thoughts and sentiments. Before moving on, this is the topic outline for chapter 9. So we have the decorative methods, the different Philippine houses, the wonderful symmetry art of Ukir or Ukil, the different arts from the various groups of the Philippines, the practice and movement of the Philippine visual arts, the key movements in Philippine arts, and lastly, the naturalistic arts. First, we have the decorative methods. So, along with the rich diversity of Philippine cultures, this also resulted in the diversity of arts that is practiced by different Philippine groups. And these arts are not expressed only by one manner, but these are expressed and successfully exhibited using different mediums and various methods. So let's take a look on the Philippine decorative methods. So this is subdivided into traditional and non-traditional methods. The traditional one make use of localized or indigenous resources found in the environment such as leaves, woods, bamboos, vines, shells, seeds, and many more. We have here the traditional methods of Philippine art. So folk architecture refers to the designs that is used for traditional houses, barns, and sometimes places of worship. Marine architecture refers to the design and building of boats and sometimes equipment that is used mainly for fishing. And we have also weaving, carving. Folk graphic art are mostly used for tattoos and other paintings. Ornament art are any art that is used for decorations and embellishments of structures. And we also have pottery. So as you can see, arts under traditional method mainly depends on the skills of the hand or the manual works of the hand. Moving on to the second Philippine decorative method, the non-traditional method. So we have here some practical presentations of this method. We have the non-folk sculpture, printmaking, photography, installation art, which uses 3D works that are often installed or put in an area. So some common examples or modern applications of installation art includes the Upside Down Museum in Pasay, Metro Manila, or the Art in Island in Quezon City. We have also the mixed media, which means that an artwork uses more than one medium. So examples of this are assemblages and collage. So these art may use different materials including cloth, paper, wood, seeds, beads, and other found objects. We have also graphic art, and then we have also magnetic resonance imaging or MRI. So this method is mostly used in the medical field. However, there is an emerging art using this method. So, in fact, there is an artist in United Kingdom that have collected MRI images from different radiologists and transformed them into a 3D installation and is now displayed in the gallery of the University of Alberta. And then we have also topiary, or it is an art or a practice of clipping shrubs or trees and bushes into ornamental shapes such as dogs, bunnies, and angels. So as you can observe, most of the art under the non-traditional method are created using the help of technology. As the saying goes, there's no place like home. Our home creates a space for our living soul. It is a place where we trust the toilet seat, a place where we still feel beautiful or handsome even if we haven't taken a bath for a couple of days. It is a place where we flourish ourselves, where we develop our character with the love from our family. It is a place where our soul feels comfortable first, comfortable last, and comfortable always. With the diverse culture in the Philippines, this also created a diverse designs of Philippine houses. Our houses does not only reflect the socio-cultural community, but also shelter the identity of how our soul lives to its fullest. So now let us venture to the different Philippine houses that serves as our heritage and identity as the Filipino people. So first, we have the Torogan. It literally means resting place or sleeping place. It is a traditional house built by the Maranao people of Lanao and is a symbol of high social status. We have also the Ifugao Bale, which is said to be the first prefabricated house in the world. We also have the traditional Bahay Kubo, which is still seen as of today, Bahay na Bato, which originated from the Philippines Spanish colonial period, the Tree House, and the Tiboli House, which is also called the Gonobong, meaning big house. We have also here the Ivatan House, which is designed to withstand the harsh environmental conditions such as strong winds. So it is found in Batanes and is made of a meter-thick limestone and coral walls as well as cogon grass roofs. We also have the Bajau Boat House, which corresponds to their way of living, which is the traditional free diving for fish and pearls. We also have the Stilt House above seawater, which is seen also in urban places. And we have also the modern multi-story house, which is usually made of concrete cement. We also have these modern Philippine houses, the urban housing community, and the condo unit. So we are down to the third topic of the visual elements in the Philippine traditional motifs and crafts, the symmetry art of Okir or Okil. So, one of the few common objects that can be alluded to our Filipino symbolism is the sari manok and the Vinta sailboat in Zamboanga City. So these colorful, exquisite figures are greatly influenced by the unique craft called Okir. So Ukir can be traced back before Islam flourished in Mindanao. It is believed to have originated from the much earlier Okil or Okil-Okil decorative carving traditions of the Sama Bajau people, which are often highly individualistic and geometric. So here are some examples of the Okir motifs of the Philippines. As you can observe, the artworks above utilizes vibrant color combinations and curved lines, while the artwork below utilizes geometric shapes, and repetitive patterns. We have here also artworks that contributes to the Filipino symbolism and uses the Okir craft. So we have the Vinta sailboat and the Sari Manok. We also have the Okil inspired costume, which is crafted and weaved by some Philippine groups.
Arts of the Philippines. Philippine Indigenous Arts. The indigenous Philippine art is art made by the indigenous people of the Philippines. It includes works in raw materials such as extract from trees, fruits, and vegetables. Some of the art treasures of the Philippines is found in caves, trees, and woods. The Philippine indigenous arts can also be found at home. Objects like baskets, earthen jars, pots, malongs, paintings, or any decorative materials with distinct art patterns. The indigenous arts and crafts provide cultural expression and are vehicle for the maintenance and transmission of culture. They are also used to promote health and well-being. They improve the lives of the indigenous women and provide self-esteem to young indigenous people. Next, we have here the different arts of the indigenous people of the Philippines. First, we have the arts of the Aitas. A traditional form of visual art of the Aitas is called body scarification. The Aitas intentionally wound the skin on their back, arms, breast, legs, hands, calves, and abdomen, and then they irritate the wound by using fire, lime, and other means to form scars. Other decorative disfigurements include the chipping of the teeth. With the use of a file, the Dumagats, a subgroup of Aitas, modify their teeth during their late puberty. The teeth are dyed black a few years afterwards. The Aitas generally use ornaments, typically for people living in subsistence economies. Flowers and leaves are also used as earplugs for certain occasions. Girdles, necklaces, and neckbands of braided rattan, which are incorporated with wild pig bristles, are also worn. Next, we have the arts of the Bagobos. The Bagobo wear distinct ceremonial attire made of ikat textiles, which are likely worn as either a costume or a dress. For the Bagobo, however, whichever word is used made a difference. For example, they tend to use the word costume or costume when speaking to non-Bagobos, but among themselves, they use the word umpak. Costume is not just costume pronounced with a local accent, it also refers to something more exact. Next, we have the arts of the Bajau. The most commonly used material is the pandanus plant, which grows abundantly in the limestone-based island of Tawi-Tawi. The pandanus grow wild and untended in the shores and sandy beaches. The techniques for preparing the pandan and weaving the mats are generally similar throughout Sulu. The Badjaus also excel in making dream catchers and fashion accessories. The arts of Buntok. The Buntok have a tradition of cloth weaving. The background colors are dark, the favorite being blue. Geometric designs are diamonds, triangles, hexagons, and zigzags. Representational designs are the dancing men or women, stars, leaves, and rice paddies. The Buntoks also love to make baskets and necklaces. Next, the arts of the Gadang. The Gadang are a tribal group of the northeast of Manila, in the provinces of Isabela and Cagayan. This is a modern reproduction of the traditional striped Gadang textile embroidered with small white beads. Next, we have the arts of the Ibanag. Textiles are embellished with knotted selvages and seams, floating warps, and complementary wefts. They are good in making baskets and hand fans. The arts of Ifugao. Textiles are embellished with knotted selvages and seams, floating warps, and complementary weft. They crafted fabrics, accessories, and wood carvings. Next, the arts of the Ilonggot. A headdress made of hornbill, shell, wire, rattan, and hairs. They are the makers of earrings and other accessories. Next, we have the arts of the Ivatan. Avakul is a headgear designed to protect the wearer from sun and rain. It is made from vuyavoy palm fiber. They do have a wide array of accessories created. The arts of the Mangyan. The embroidered pakudos is always of two colors. On a white blouse, it is predominantly red and is highlighted by a fine black or dark blue outline. On a blue blouse, it is also predominantly red, but the outline stitchery is white. The design is started from the center with only hand measurements and the warp and weft threads as guide. Next, we have the arts of the Manobos. Traditional fabric for clothes was made of abaca fiber or hemp, woven by the ikat process, but now it is made of cotton cloth obtained through trade. Dyes were acquired from plants and trees. The tagum plant and the bark of the lamud tree produced lac, the turmeric root yellow, and the Kelliluza plant red. Ginuwatan are woven representational designs such as flowers. If cotton trade cloth is bought, big floral designs are preferred. Typical colors are red, black, yellow, green, blue, and white. The arts of the Maranao. We have several stylish decorative motifs in Muslim art. Sari Manok is one of these, a stylish representation of an open-winged legendary bird whose claws clutch a fish. It is a bird form symbol of the Maranao. A Sari Manok can be seen on top of bamboo poles placed at the center of Muslim villages. The Maranaos are also known for their gold and purple malong. Malong is the traditional tube garment which are commonly colored into combinations of green, yellow, red, violet, and blue. The arts of the Tibuli. The Tibuli are famous for their dream-inspired and spirit-infused tinalak weavings, but also for their embroidery, brass casting, and other crafts. Tinalak weaving is an art form perfected over decades of practice by Tibuli women, and only a handful of master weavers can be considered true dream weavers. The arts of Tinggian. The Tinggian or Isneg are engaged in bamboo crafts production. This is the reason why Abra is positioning itself as the bamboo capital of the Philippines. They also excel in making mats and fabrics. We also have different arts from different religions. First, we have the Muslim arts. The Muslim arts have influenced the Philippine culture utterly, mostly, especially in the field of craft. It is worth bragging that they add colors to our Filipino identity and heritage because of their colorfully exquisite motifs in arts and crafts. The Muslim art is often characterized by recurrent motifs, such as the use of geometrical floral or organic vegetative design in a repetitive fashion known as arabesque. Such as is an Islamic art often used to symbolize the transcendent, indivisible, and infinite nature of God. With this monotheistic group of believers, they emphasize the omnipotent presence of Allah in their multifarious art forms. Next, we have the Christian arts. Our faith is expressed in different art forms. It can be seen in a various visual in the church, such as altars, bell towers, minaret, dome, facade, retablo, ceilings, floors, and windows. The motifs of Christian churches are influenced basically by the Spanish and Western architectures, while some are influenced by Americans. There are interior and exterior designs that also depict the common story taken from the Bible. In fact, the variation of church designs in the Philippines manifests the various cultural traditions that have marked and carved our history and heritage. Next, we have the arts of the born-again Christians. Its architectural designs usually contain emphasis on illumination that mimic the natural lighting that add in different layers of lighting with different wattage. Some lights are for boisterous events and calm lighting for worship. There is usually a cross in the middle and musical instruments on the platform for worship purposes. Next, we have the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church. Its church buildings or chapels serves as places of worship and other religious functions as vehicles for glorifying God. These are described by culture and customs of the Philippines as structures which employs exterior neo-Gothic vertical support columns with tall narrow windows between interlocking trapezoids and rosette motifs, as well as towers and spires. The Church of the Mormons. Its church structural design doesn't boast any medieval mosaics, but its luxurious designs is by 21st century standards, with high curved walls of white granite, two tall spires, inlaid marble floors, and a grand staircase surmounted by a huge crystal chandelier. Next, we have the Roman Catholic Church. Its architectural design varies from time to time and place to place. The most significant objects of transformation for Christian architecture and design were the great churches of Byzantium, the Romanesque, Gothic cathedrals, and Renaissance basilicas, with its emphasis on harmony. These large, often ornate and architecturally prestigious buildings were dominant features of the towns and countrysides in which they stood. And lastly, we have the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The motif of its church design is based on the foundation of the Bible. Its design elements underscore the Bible as the focal point. The cross, which is also a central feature of its encapsulated motif, and the burning flame that represents the Holy Spirit and the truth.
Practice and movement of the Philippine visual arts. Kung ano ang pinanggalingan mo, ilagay mo sa canvas. Wika ni Villeroy Godoy Colzon. This implies that the evolution and dynamics of how Philippine arts change are brought by the time affected by history. Every stage of history creates a typical artwork reflected in a significant event. These are the key movements in Philippine arts. The styles of arts as they change brought by the time reflecting every generation that passed. Born out of social climates that they become popular in or be made as responses to previous movements. Most of the Philippines' lay art movements have Western origin. The following are the key art movements. First we have Baroque. Baroque is all about grandeur, sensuous richness, drama, dynamism, movement, tension, emotional exuberance that gives off a tendency to blur distinctions between the various arts. Next, we have Neoclassicism. Used straight lines, smooth paint surface, the depiction of light, minimal use of color, and the clear, crisp definition of forms. Then we have Romanticism, focused on emotions, feelings, and moods of all sorts. Can be about spirituality, imagination, mystery, and fervor. Realism, it's about accurate, detailed, and unembellished depiction of nature or of contemporary life. Rejects imaginative idealization. Expressionism is about conveying emotion and meaning rather than reality. The artists have unique ways of expressing emotions. Then Cubism uses broken objects and figures to form distinct planes, and they reassemble them to form abstract. Now we have Impressionism, which deals with relatively small, thin, yet visible brushstrokes, open composition, emphasis on accurate depiction of light, ordinary subject matter, and inclusion of movement. Followed by Surrealism, which uses juxtaposition or surprising shifts in scale to question the nature of reality, perception, and language in absurdist fashions and scenes. Next, we have Abstract Expressionism. This deals with non-representational statement with line, color, and size, as well as aggressive mingling of colors, shapes, and forms, creating a painting of pure thought and emotion. We have Social Realism as well, which is an artwork that gives accurate portrayal of the scene and characters without embellishments. Next on the list, we have Figurativism, which is dependent artwork that includes line, shape, color, light and dark, mass, volume, texture, and perspective in harmonious synergy. Followed by conceptualism, which is all about ideas and meanings rather than work of art. Finally, we have pop surrealism or lowbrow art. It often emphasizes sense of humor. It can be a painting, but there are also toys, digital art, and sculpture. Now let's talk about naturalistic arts. First, we have an aquarium, which mimics the coral reefs of tropical oceans or underwater and freshwater jungles. A terrarium is a sealable glass container containing soil and plants. An herbarium is a collection of dried and pressed plant specimens that are stored for research purposes by botanists and scientists. An aviary is a large enclosure for confining birds. It allows larger living space than normal bird cages. An herbary is a horticultural practice of training perennial plants by clipping the foliage and twigs. Finally, an orchidarium is a vivarium. It is specifically for the cultivation of orchids. Thank you so much for paying attention to our report. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask.